So we all know George R. R. Martin is not finishing the Song of Ice and Fire series. The Winds of Winter isn't coming out. Dreams of Spring are not coming out. Not with George R. R. Martin alone and alive. It's gonna be with someone, kind of like how Brandon Sanderson had to do it with the Wheel of Time series. Someone's gonna take over. That's totally fine. Let's just admit it. We all knew this day was coming. So, but I've got a few things I want to go over with you guys here. Just recent news. So let's get into it. The Witcher author fires shots at Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin, and never-ending Winds of Winter saga. When I say I'll write something, I will. Wow, this is from GamesRadar.com. And this was recent. This just published 2 days ago. The wait for the winds of winter goes on. Look at our guy George right there. Look, I love A Song of Ice and Fire. I think A Storm of Swords is one of the greatest books ever written, and A Clash of Kings is not too far behind it. I'm due a reread because it's been a few years, but I remember absolutely detesting Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons. Hated both books. But I do need to reread it. But let's see what Witcher author Andrzej Sapkowski is saying. 15 years after I initially began on the sixth novel, A Song of Ice and Fire series. It has been that long. That is crazy. When asked at the Oppo Book Festival about whether he plans to write more books in the Witcher series, Sapkowski replied, "I'll tell you right now, I will write something else. Relax. No need to fear." And unlike George R. R. Martin, whom, by the way, I know personally, okay, that softened the blow a bit. At least he's not just flat out shooting at George R. R. Martin, even though Martin would deserve it. When I say I'll write something, I will. That is crazy. While the personal connection between Martin and Sapkowski hints at a slightly more tongue-in-cheek tone than it reads on paper, the Witcher author does have his own theories as to why the Winds of Winter is still stuck in a seemingly perpetual limbo, and of course it involves Game of Thrones overtaking the original source material. I totally understand him, because if someone had pulled a stunt like that on me, filming a series based on my books, and then getting ahead of what I intend to write, I'd also be wondering whether there's any point in writing anymore. That's a good point. I won't lie, it's a good point. And you got that core principle. Then you've got the shenanigans that actually happened because of D&D, in terms of just how they butchered the rest of the series, right? Like once the source material was finished with, they had no leg to stand on. And well, the multiple video essays about about the last series, the last 2 or 3 series as well, it's a test to that. It is absolutely crazy, absolutely nuts. And but at the same time, if you're George R. R. Martin, you just gotta get this done. But look, let me actually Google this quickly. When did the first book come out? It was the 90s, I believe. 96. So A Game of Thrones comes out 96, A Clash of Kings comes out 1999, A Storm of Swords comes out in 2000 according to Books Run. That 4 year run may be the second greatest 4 year run ever in history. Probably after whatever time span it took J.K. Rowling to write Harry Potter. You got the J.K. Rowling time span for what she was penning. I won't lie, a lot of these guys were penning some serious stuff in the 90s and early 2000s. Like, we actually need to get back to this kind of level. And a clash. Then next after J.K. Rowling, George R. R. Martin with A Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, Storm of Swords, crazy. Then it's crazy. You know what? I hate Feast for Crows, but it seems that as George R. R. Martin takes longer to write the books, the worse it gets for me. Because I hate A Feast of Crows. I thought it. You know the thing with Feast of Crows. It's one of those books, and take this with a grain of salt because I've got to reread it. You know when a book is pacing is so slow that it drags everything down, and it just becomes like crap to you. That's what Feast of Crows was for me, because the pacing was so slow, and obviously George made, the specific, structural changes to whose POV we was getting and what part of the stories and what part of the world we was gonna be in. Because he did that, hated it for me. Like, the chess pieces will still be moved all about. There was still new developments, of course, but as well, coming from the high that is a Storm of Swords to like Feast for Crows, not for me. And it kind of makes sense because it took 5 years publishing for those in between. I'm not sure if it took him that long to write it, but Lord knows. But back to this. So we've got the Witcher author talking his talk, but then we also got this from The Independent, and this was pretty recent as well. This was only last month. This is from The Independent. George R. Martin is done with fans still complaining about Winds of Winter delay. You have given up on me. Author says he's producing an adaptation of late friend Howard Wardrop's novella. Game of Thrones author George R. Martin is aware fans are upset about delay in the release of The Winds of Winter and is pushing back against the complaint that he doesn't care about the characters and the story anymore. Martin, 76. Ooh, 76. I thought he was older. I won't lie. 76. Hmm. Funny story. Denmark just, I saw a news video about it that they've increased the pension, or the retirement age, I should say, to 70, and that's due to come into effect within the next couple of years. And I think around 2040, I think it goes up even more, which is nuts. So Martin is at definitely retirement age. But by the time he actually, if he actually, I don't think he will, but if he actually releases The Winds of Winter, I think he'll probably be like not outside retirement age anymore. Like, retirement age might be like 85 at the time Martin actually releases this, and he'll be like 80, and he still has years left to work, technically, according to whichever government. But yeah, he's he's adapting this. Let me go down. The first novel in the series, A Game of Thrones, was published in 1996, and the fifth, A Dance with Dragons, I also hated that book, in 2011. God, what? Jesus. He should have wrapped this up. Quote, I know, some of you will just be pissed off by this, as you are by everything I announce here that is not about Westeros or the Winds of Winter. You have given up on me, or on the book, Martin said. I will never finish Winds. If I do, I will never finish A Dream of Spring. If I do, it won't be any good. I ought to get some other writer to pinch hit for me. He continued, detailing the typical comments he has received over the years. I'm going to die soon anyway because I'm so old. I lost all interest in A Song of Ice and Fire decades ago. I don't give a shit about writing any longer. I just sit around and spend my money. You know what? That one's actually like fair, because he's active. Like, he's about. He's really about. He's been busy. It's not like, he's been stuck and he's had writer's block or something. He's been in these streets. He's been in these literature streets. Listing some of the projects that he has worked on in this period, Martin said, I edit the Wildcards books too, but you hate Wildcards. You may hate everything else I've ever written. Hugo winners and Hugo losers. You don't care about any of those, I know. You don't care about anything but Winds of Winter. You've told me so often. You know what's wild? I think maybe outside of oh god, I forgot the other series, the one that is about the Targaryen type. Oh god, I'm messing up names. It's been a long day. I've literally just clocked off work. But you know what I'm talking about. The one that's a TV show now that was pretty good. Besides that one that people actually seem to love, everything else just he does not seem to be hitting the mark on. And I get why fans are frustrated, because reading truly he shouldn't be working on anything else. Like, none of the other things he's worked on, none of the other creative projects he's been involved in since, A Song of Ice and Fire became what it was, have reached the level of acclaim or brilliance that he has shown with the series. Like, A Song of Ice and Fire is in everyone's top 10 fantasy series, book series of all time, including mine. And the one stipulation you see from all these booktubers, all these fans, is that he hasn't finished the series. And some take that as a serious negative. It's kind of like how some people are like, you know, some booktubers, they will only recommend book series that are finished. And everyone kind of makes a stipulation about finished or unfinished book series. And it's literally the only thing that's the big negative against George R. R. Martin, is that it's unfinished and he's still about, and he's about on these literature streets, and he's not finishing basically what's one of the greatest literature series in human history. Like it's nuts. It's like, get your priorities together, right? And it's crazy, right? But here's the thing that I want to sort of push back on, is that when I googled the Winds of Winter, when I was kind of doing some like research for this video, George R. R. Martin's is all like I know, and there's other YouTube videos about this, talking about his, semi-regular blog updates about what he's doing, if he's writing, how much he's written, etc., etc. Whose POV characters is he chopping and changing, etc., etc. But I don't think George R. R. Martin really should be getting on to the fans about anything, quite frankly. Because when I typed in The Winds of Winter, I saw that Goodreads, it had a rating and it had a lot of reviews. And so like if you look here, it has a 4.39 rating, which is nuts. And this is from 13,729 ratings, and it has 599 reviews on Goodreads. This book is not even out. It's nuts. And if you go here, if we scroll down to see what people are saying, right, look at the distribution, right? Most of it's 5 stars. Like, look at the faith. 60% of the ratings are 5-star ratings, and this book has been 15 years in the making. And you've just got people want to read. That is crazy. 2019, 2012, want to read. Look at this, right? Look at this review. If George R. R. Martin dies before finishing the series, I'll perform blood magic and bring him back by sacrificing the life of Justin Bieber and no other disgusting person. And this has 1,012 likes and 48 comments. That is nuts. That is nuts. And the top comment, or ask Brandon Sanderson to finish it. I did see a video, and Sanderson addressed this in a short that I saw on his channel, where he's just talking about how different his writing style is to George R. R. Martin, and he probably won't he's not the one to finish it. But again, you look at this, want to read, 2012, want to read, 2019, want to read, I don't sleep, I wait. Look at this meme, that is absolutely hilarious. Anticipated 2024, 2013, want to read, look at this meme as well. Oh, a whole bunch of memes. Fans are really, really, don't do this to me, George, this fan says. They are really, really, really waiting for this. It is nuts. And just look at this, just spreading years, 2016, 2013, 2015. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't think it's coming out. I think we need to start making plans for, well, I say we, the publisher and George himself, needs to start making plans for when he is no longer with us, which would be unfortunate. I wish him a very, very happy life. I hope he lives for another 30 years and completes the series also. I won't add the stipulation that in order for him to live for 30 more years, he has to finish the series, because I'm not the blood magic type of person. Is a bit too crazy for me. But I hope he lives a long life, and I hope he finishes it, and I hope he stays sharp in his old age as well. That'll be important too, because you got to think about that. I hope he doesn't get any sort of like mental illness, anything or mental disorder, I should say, and mental illness as well. You could be depressed in your 80s and 90s, so that's the thing. There's no age limit to these things. So yeah, this is a different type of video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I just wanted to talk about The Winds of Winter and Song of Ice and Fire, and sort of like bring some of the fans together. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.